It's the Open Bedroom Doors Show.
I'm Angela Skurtu, and I open bedroom doors. Welcome to the Open Bedroom Doors Show. Real talk for real relationships. I'm your host, Angela Skurtu, your friendly neighborhood sex therapist and licensed marriage therapist. And yes, talking about sex is literally my job. I started this show because, let's be real, most of us didn't get sex education. We're out here fumbling through love, intimacy, and awkward bedroom moments with zero guidance and a lot of shame. Time to fix that. Here's what you can expect every episode. Sex positions. We start off hot by judging something wild, weird, or just plain wrong in the media or culture. You'll laugh, you'll cringe, you might even learn something. Next, we move to guest interviews. I chat with fascinating folks, sexperts, storytellers, and everyday humans with juicy stories and powerful insights. And then, of course, we have to have a happy ending. Yep, we finish strong. I answer real questions from real people about sex, relationships, and all the stuff you're too afraid to ask your therapist or anyone else for that matter. But I'm here, so ask away. If you're ready to laugh, learn, and finally talk about the stuff no one ever taught us, hit play. Let's open that bedroom door, shall we? Welcome to Sex Positions. This is the Open Bedroom Door Show, and on this segment, what I like to do is judge things as a sex therapist that are happening in media and society that are related to sex. I'm your resident sex therapist. Hey! So you had a baby. Now what? A lot of my clients start having their intimacy problems right after they have their baby. And this is where people are having their trouble. Essentially, you get told you're not allowed to have sex for, it's like 6 weeks, right? But the doc doesn't tell you that you can still be intimate in different ways and keep your intimacy strong. So add to that, you're very exhausted. So here, I'm in my mattress dog's bed, which promo code sexy time and you get it tax free. So this is what you spend your free time doing. You're so exhausted. This is like literally for those of you who even have babysitters or family who are watching your kids, this is what you end up doing is you end up sleeping in bed because you're so exhausted. And one thing I want to help you guys think about is in order to create a connection after baby, one of the things you can do is get help from friends and partners and loved ones to get a little more time to yourself. When you get that time to yourself, then first give yourself time to fall asleep and just catch up because you're going to be exhausted. But then after the sleep, if you have enough time, then you can turn to your partner and be like, hey, let's have some connection time. And connection time doesn't have to be penetrated sex. It can be cuddling, it can be touching, it can be making out, it can be sharing sensual body massages or even non-sensual body massages. Like, here's the thing, you can even negotiate for, I don't want it to be sensual for myself personally, but I'm happy to give you a sensual massage. Can you just give me a massage that feels good in my body? And the big thing I want you to think about is intimacy is about feeling good in your skin and feeling good in who you are. So whatever intimate act that you're doing is your choice and you have a right to ask for it. So when you're post-baby, next time, or this time, if you're currently post-baby, I'm like next time, like I'm preparing for your future pregnancy. I don't even know you, right? But as you are going through this process, the baby doesn't have to be a split for you two. And the 6 weeks of no sex doesn't have to mean no intimacy. If you want a bed, guess what? We are filming our sex positions here at Mattress Dogs. This is a mattress furniture store, and I am thankful for Mattress Dogs for letting me do my sex positions event in bed. Use promo code SEXYTIME, and you can get your next bed here tax-free. We're always looking for sponsors. So if you would like to become a sponsor for the show or for the sex position segment, please go to openbedroomdoors.com and check out our sponsorship page. And we will, if you become one of our sponsors, we'll even let you pick the position. Welcome to the Open Bedroom Door Show. I'm your host, Angela Skurtu, and I'm a licensed marriage therapist and certified sex therapist. And today I have with me Brooke Kalisiak. Brooke, will you introduce yourself?
Hi, Dr. Brooke Kalisiak. I am the owner of Legacy Physical Therapy, which is a pelvic physical therapy practice here in St. Louis, Missouri. And I have been a practitioner for over 20 years in the pelvic health world, and I love helping people optimize their pelvic health so that they can avoid medications, surgeries, and long-term problems.
So, Brooke, I'm super excited to have you today, and I actually am just curious, so a lot of people don't know what pelvic floor physical therapy is, so why don't you go into that?
Yeah. So physical therapy as a whole, our physical therapists are experts in the musculoskeletal system. So we know how the muscles, bones, joints work together and how we move. Pelvic physical therapists go on and get additional training in what's going on specifically in the pelvic area. So like the medical black box area.
To here. Yeah. The medical black box? Why do you call it that?
That's a rabbit hole that we can go down. Because there's a lot that goes on in that area, and many different medical fields have some ownership of it, but like to kind of pass the buck to other people and don't necessarily know or treat the whole area well.
I know a perfect example of this. Many OBGYNs who work in the medical black box don't have training in sexual health and wellness.
Correct.
And so they will, that's why, so y'all know, that's why Brooke is on the show, because you work specifically on intimacy, sex. Tell the people all the things you help.
So pelvic physical therapy can seem like a really small niche area that people are like, really? That's all you do? But there are so many different things that the musculoskeletal system in our pelvic area contribute to. So the main ones are sexual function, and dysfunction in that area. Bowel and bladder function. The pelvic floor is the bottom of what we call our core canister, which is a group of muscles that help to support our trunk. So we've got our abdominals, our back muscles, our pelvic floor, and our diaphragm. And so those work together to help regulate pressure in our abdominal cavity and make sure that our organs are supported and doing what they need to be doing. And they work together to help support our hips and our spine and keep us upright. And that.
Like your core, so you can sit
so
now.
we can sit upright and look lovely. So if those muscles aren't working well, a lot of times people think I've got to get stronger in my core. And they think about just right here. And it's no, it's think about the soda can. Every part of that can needs to be working well together. And so pelvic physical therapists are experts in how that system kind of works together. And when there's problems, it can show up as pain, pelvic pressure or heaviness, problems with any type of vaginal penetration or painful sex situations, low libido situations, or even bowel or bladder issues like leakage or constipation. So there's a whole host of issues that can be somewhat regulated by, or there's a contributing factor that's a musculoskeletal component that a lot of people are like, I had no idea muscles related to that. I'm having bladder urgency, or I feel like I have to go to the bathroom all the time. They're like, oh, I better go to a urologist. And urologist might do some tests and be like, hey, try this medication. And the med may or may not work. And if the medication's not working, oftentimes I'm like, did anyone evaluate what your muscles are doing? They're like, well, why?
No, they didn't.
It's my bladder. Why, what muscles? And it's like, well, if we have tight, tense pelvic floor muscles in that area, that can actually irritate the bladder and give us urgency and frequency. And so the muscles can play a role in how these organs are functioning, because everything in that pelvic bowl is really, really close together and shares nervous system input in that. And so the muscles, the bladder, the rectum, the vagina, the uterus, all of that has input back and forth and can affect how each area is responding to things.
All right, so let me put it into perspective, right? We've got, your whole body is full of organs, muscles, nerves, and just because it's here in this medical black box does not mean that suddenly it doesn't exist here.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so how it'll show up in my office, so I'm a sex therapist. This episode, we're going to focus on women, right? So women will show up in my office, and they will actually show up with a desire issue. They will not usually talk to me about pain because what happens is they'll go to a doctor. They'll say they have pain, and the doctor will give kind of a basic, like, oh, it'll eventually go away, or maybe drink some wine, which, by the way, alcohol isn't medicine. I want to put that out there. But they won't give them anything other than maybe a medicine, maybe a cream, because let's be fair, like medical doctors have certain things they can do. So I don't want to put down, because I love doctors that I work with, right? So they have a certain area they can go to, but they can't go so far, right? Like they can't go in there. And I always do this when I talk about you, Brooke, because this is manipulations of the muscles in that area. Sorry if that's inappropriate.
That is not quite how we usually do it, but that is Angela's version of how we do our therapy.
This is why we need you. Okay, so somebody will come in, they'll say, hey, I have no desire and I'm interested and wanting to have sex again. And when I dig deeper, guess what's happened? Chronic pain for possibly years.
Oh, yeah.
That's been undiagnosed and untreated. Yeah. So how do you see that happening in your practice?
We see, so pain with intercourse is one of the most common things that we see at our practice. And a common scenario that we get that really makes me angry is that the postpartum pain with sex. And that's so... You know, women have a baby, they go back at the 6-week mark and they're, get checked out with their OB, and their OB's like, everything's great, green light, go back to having sex. And most of the time a woman's like, whoa, like really? Already? Like, I'm not sure. Like that area still feels kind of closed off. Like,
they just finished bleeding profusely.
So, but they get the green light. And so at some point in time, the woman feels comfortable and, initiates sex with their partner. And it can oftentimes that first time after having a baby is uncomfortable. And that, because if you're breastfeeding, tissues are going to be dry. And that's a hormonal issue of breastfeeding. Or maybe you had an episiotomy, or you tore down there and you have scar tissue, or you might still have, some people, the stitches take a while to kind of dissolve and they might still have that present. And so,
and I want to add a third. I had a C-section. I thought I would be immune.
In the clear?
I had pain.
Yes.
I had pain for a good few months after even having a C-section, thinking, oh, this didn't impact my vagina. Yeah. It did.
You're exactly right. Many women think, oh, I had a C-section, nothing's going to be wrong in my pelvic area. Like, no, the C-section has much bigger scars that can contribute to pelvic problems. And but these women, they may try intercourse with their partner and it hurts. And if they're brave enough, they call up their doctor's office, make an appointment or whatever. Maybe they've tried it a couple times and it hurts too much and they talk to their doctor about it. And oftentimes, unfortunately, like you just said, the advice they get is like, oh, you just had a baby. Like, just give it some time. It'll get better. Drink some wine. You just need to relax. Or I looked at everything looks fine. It must be in your head.
But they haven't done a muscular assessment like you do.
Unfortunately, what doctors have to get trained in is immense amounts of knowledge.
Yeah.
Huge, huge amounts of knowledge to make sure that they can rule out the big bad uglies. Which means that the amount of time that they get training on musculoskeletal issues of the pelvic area is about this big. And so which is rightfully so. They need to know how, to treat the big bad uglies and that.
Death and cancer.
Yeah, all of those.
And it's a big job.
Yeah, it is. It is. They have lots of responsibilities. But unfortunately, to write off a woman and say like, oh, it's all in your head, or you just need to relax, or, drink some wine with it, that's not medical advice. That's really bad advice. And so a woman goes away from that appointment, maybe tries drinking wine or tries sex again, and it hurts again. And they're like, well, I went to the doctor last time and they gave me some bad advice. Like, I'm not going to go back again. And so it turns into
They don't know about you.
They don't know about pelvic physical therapy. And so it turns into this chronic perpetual problem where they potentially then end up in your office. They're like, I really want to be active with my partner. I love my partner, but now I just have no desire because it's going to hurt. And want to do it because it's going to hurt.
Avoid it. That's
so they
what
just
ends
avoid
up
it.
happening.
And then they end up, seeing someone like you to help with that because they think, well, now I'm avoiding my problem, my partner, and having issues that way. Where if we had gotten to them in that, couple months postpartum when they're having that issue, initially, we can make some pretty quick changes because the tissues are all still healing then. So the tissues are in that healing moment. So it's not to say that we've had women who have had painful sex for years who come and see us, and we can get them pain-free. But it happens a lot quicker if we catch it earlier on. And so we get a lot of women who, once they do come in, they're like, I'm so grateful that someone has actually identified where my pain's coming from and that I'm on a path to get this feeling better. But they're also kind of pissed because they've dealt with it for a while. And they're like, are you telling me this was a muscular issue that I could have resolved earlier on if someone had just said, hey, you might want to get evaluated by a pelvic physical therapist? I'm like, yeah.
Brooke, so my storyline, my most typical client is it's right after second baby, actually.
Ooh,
about a year after.
Mm-hmm.
So they had the first baby, and desire kind of waxes and wanes, but I think that pain thing is part of it too.
Yeah.
And they're like, their doctor says it'll eventually come back to normal, just give it some time. So they give it time, and really what they do is avoid. They avoid the sex, and then what gets them going again is the fact that they're trying for another baby. So sex does rev up just a little bit.
Yeah.
But then they get pregnant, and then it's like, okay, I'm not doing this. I'm having, which you can't have sex while you're pregnant. But if you're having pain, of course you're going to avoid it.
Yeah.
And then by second baby, they're done. Usually, the typical family is pretty done at baby
usually.
2.
Yeah.
And then it's about a year or two later when the husband and wife have been doing the baby thing, and they're still not having sex. And the husband's like, hey, are we going to?
Yeah.
Is this going to happen? And to your point, they've been dealing with this problem for years now. Yeah. And it could have been prevented.
Yeah, very much.
What do you think is the biggest barrier to people finding out about pelvic floor physical therapy, which is why we're doing this episode, by the way?
Honestly, so I have been in the pelvic PT world for 2 decades now, and it has improved immensely along the way, and that people are proactively seeking out pelvic physical therapy while they're pregnant, for postpartum recovery. Right now in my world, the menopause term is getting tossed around all over the place, but it also is bringing people seeking out pelvic physical therapy because they're like, yeah, I've heard that some stuff goes down here with menopause. It's like, yep, definitely. So people are being more proactive, and the more who experience it, the more of us that are in the field. So my field of pelvic physical therapy has exploded over the last 20 years. When I opened up Legacy Physical Therapy, I could probably count on one hand the amount of pelvic physical therapists that were in St. Louis. So there weren't options for people, and the people who were there were amazing therapists, but were hidden in big hospital systems or hidden inside of academic systems. And so it was really hard for the public to find them. So it's one of the reasons why I created Legacy Physical Therapy, because I wanted that to specialize specifically in pelvic rehab, I wanted to be able to shout from the rooftops, this is what pelvic physical therapy is, and it can help with your bladder leakage, it can help with your pelvic pain and heaviness, it can help, get back to pain-free intercourse with your partner, and people be able to find that. And then we're seeing that turn around in the medical field now. We're getting more and more practitioners who are being more proactive in sending people.
Brooke, I want to thank you for being on the show. Can you tell our audience members how they can find you?
Yeah. So if you go to our website, legacytherapystl.com, it is chock full of pelvic health information to help you help yourself and see if pelvic physical therapy is a good fit for you. And then if you want to follow us on socials, Legacy Physical Therapy STL is our social handle on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Are you ready to take your sex life beyond the bedroom and want to spice things up and have a little fun? come join me for my couples retreats. We are taking open bedroom doors to exotic locations and introducing you to fun, sexy new ways to intimately connect with your partner. In a beautiful location, surrounded with serenity, warmth, connection, that beachy vibe. This retreat is your opportunity to say, nope, I'm leaving the kids and work at home, and we're gonna go to a place where we focus on us. We slow down, we get into our sensory experience, and I just want you to ignite your sex life and learn how to really take your sex life from 0 to 100. I'm Angela Skurtu at openbedroomdoors.com, and I hope to see you at my next retreat. That's too spicy. Well, guys, on the Open Bedroom Doors show, we often have content that's a little too spicy for your typical social media platforms. So for those of you who are like, I love everything Angela Skurtu and I want to know all the spicy details, we actually have a space where we put the uncut shows, and it is at patreon.com/openbedroomdoors. So you can subscribe to that channel and get all the behind the scenes, all that spicy stuff that I wasn't able to put in the show. That's too spicy. So I hope you can join me at patreon.com/openbedroomdoors. Keep in mind, that is how you support me. So it is a subscription channel where you have to pay to subscribe, but you are becoming a supporter of me and putting out this awesome content as a result. So please join me for those spicy, spicy things. On every episode, I like to answer one audience question. And with me, I always have my BDSM bears. We have, this is Barry Bonds, and this is Consent Cup. I can't improperly name them. So today's question is, what does the research suggest about the viability and success of open marriages / swinging lifestyles? You know, it's interesting. So about 5% of the population, that was according to like a 2020 study, about 5% of the population is in swinging or open relationships. Consensual, we call it consensual non-monogamy, okay? But what's interesting is after the pandemic, that number rose. So there's more of you getting kinky and wild and trying different things, which is fine. I respect all your values. I want you to be you. The viability actually, so for anybody who does start to get into an open relationship or a lifestyle situation, the first year is the most chaotic. And it is the make or break year. What the research suggests is after that first year, it's about a 50-50 rate of people who stay together or divorce. So it's the same as the regular population of marriage or divorce. But in that first year, because you're making so many decisions about what you're okay with, what your rules are, is this what I like? Is this not what I like? You're figuring out if you're in what I call exit non-monogamy. So just side note, exit non-monogamy is when people are on the brink of divorce and they try to open up their relationship as a form of like saving the relationship. And it does it for a while, but then they do exit the relationship. So that's exit non-monogamy. That's why that first year essentially is the make or break year, because some people are engaging in a form of exit non-monogamy. You wouldn't be able to say it, by the way. You wouldn't know you were doing that because most people just try it and see what happens. But in that year, you have much higher chances of divorce because of all the decisions and conversations that need to happen for it to be a safe situation. After that year, though, it's 50-50. You still have to have the basic relationship skills to have a healthy relationship and sex life. So if you didn't have them before the lifestyle, they're not magically going to show up after the lifestyle unless you do some work. Want to spice up your sex life? Then be sure to pick up a copy of my new book, From No to Yes Sex.
Tired of routine sex? Feeling more like roommates than lovers? Wondering where the passion went or if it was ever really there? You're not alone. And guess what? You don't have to settle for a sex life that's just meh. Better sex doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in your head. In From No to Yes Sex, I'll help you break free from shame, outdated beliefs, and unspoken frustrations that have been keeping you stuck. When you change the way you think about sex, you change the way you show up for sex. And that's where the magic happens. This book will help you understand why you're not getting the sex you crave. Rewire negative thoughts about sex, your body, and desire. And finally, learn how to communicate what you actually want in bed. You'll stop treating sex like an obligation and start wanting it again. No shame, no fluff. just straight talk and strategies, and a whole lot of yes moments. Yeah! This is the first book in my Open Bedroom Doors book series, where we strip away the awkwardness and build a foundation for lasting passion. Whether you're in a long-term relationship that's lost its fire or just tired of going through the emotions, this book is your invitation to transform your love life one thought at a time.
Don't wait. Order now.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of the Open Bedroom Doors Show. Real talk for real relationships. If you laughed, learned, or blushed a little, you're welcome. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a friend who needs a little more real talk in their life. Got a burning question about sex, love, or relationships? Check out openbedroomdoors.com and submit a contact form. Your question might just be featured in a future Happy Ending segment. Until next time, keep it honest, keep it sexy, and most of all, keep those bedroom doors open.
Good night and have a sexy tomorrow.